Right then, so 117 days after the last ball was bowled in international cricket, we're all set for the resumption of cricket. That's courtesy England hosts West Indies for a 3-test match series. The first of that test match will be played at the Ageas Bowl in Southampton. I am Nikhil Naz and you're watching MARUTI Suzuki DZIRE presents ESPNcricinfo Match Day. So to talk to us about the first test match, I'm joined by Daren Ganga, who's joined us live from the safe confines of his home in Port of Spain in Trinidad. Daren, I know that as a former cricketer and also as a cricket pundit, every time, there's international cricket, you must be getting excited. But this one's got to be special, especially what we've seen in the last 3 months or so.
Yes, hi, Nikhil, and really happy to be on. I'm really excited and looking forward to this series. We've been speculating all along as to when international cricket will resume. As a former cricketer, you rightly said, I'm always excited to look at international cricket now, not having the opportunity to play. But I think both teams would be very happy with their preparations as well. More so the West Indies, who had a chance to arrive in England a lot earlier than they would have because of this COVID-19 pandemic.
All right, then we're looking ahead to that first test match, and we'll bring 5 very crucial points to look forward to when you're looking ahead for England versus West Indies. We'll start with the first of those, and those will be the interim rules that you will see now that all the SOPs are in place. So what are those rules that you'd be looking at? The first is the use of saliva to shine the ball. That has been banned. It's been a topic of much discussion and debate. Each team then will also have to get 3 reviews now per innings instead of 2, and that's been done primarily because now you don't have those neutral umpires. There is also a special COVID substitute now allowed for any player that develops symptoms. Social distancing norms will be maintained throughout the game. This means that players will not have bodily contact while celebrating and will not come in contact with the umpires to hand over caps or sunglasses. And finally, players and umpires are advised to regularly sanitize their hands through the match. It's also recommended that the umpires wear gloves while handling the ball. Darren, quick word from you. I know you've been speaking to those boys from the Caribbean team who are in England at the moment. How are they coping up in this bio bubble?
From all reports, it's been very positive. I think the overarching positive thing for the West Indies would have been the acclimatization with the conditions in England. That's a challenge for most touring teams. And the fact that the West Indies team, they've been there for over a month before the start of this test match, that will serve them in good stead going into this 3-test series.
From here on, we'll turn our attention to point number 4 on our preview, and this is a question that we're posing. Will spin play a big role at the Ageas Bowl? Well, it does seem to spin a bit, and then going by the warm-up games, you also feel that the track has been a bit slow. Let's take a look at the venue stats then at Southampton, and we're just taking a look at the last 3 test matches. The first inning scores, batting first, batting second, doesn't seem to be a big difference there, but the biggest difference is between the averages of fast bowlers. When you compare it to the spinners, that's at 34 for fast bowlers and then 28.86 for the spinners. It's not so much of a problem for England at the moment as far as their bowling is concerned. They've got a good bowling lineup there. The area of concern is for the West Indies and especially their top order, and that's what we're taking a look at in our point number 3. It's the top order that's been under pressure. Now, the top 5 batsmen for West Indies have roughly played about an average of 50 balls in an innings. We'll just take a look at how they compare to other teams, and this is least balls faced by top 5 batsmen in Test cricket. West Indies at the number 2nd spot in this dubious list that is headed by Bangladesh at 53. West Indies comes in at 56, and then as we go along, things improve. South Africa with 62, Sri Lanka taking it to 64. Darren, what's worrying is that they didn't have a great outing in the intra-squad warm-up game as well, the West Indies batsmen. Would that be keeping them or giving them sleepless nights at the moment?
I think the major concern for the West Indies is the form of Craig Brathwaite. He's been a solid pillar of strength at the top of the innings. He hasn't been in the best of form in the last year or so. He averages less than 20 with the bat in Test match cricket. Hasn't been able to score fluently in the recent Professional Cricket League. That's a domestic competition in the Caribbean. So that's a worry. I think he will have to try and rekindle some form that he showed in that 2017 series when both himself and Shea Hope scored centuries in that Headingley Test match, which the West Indies won. So it will all be about mental preparation for Craig Brathwaite and even John Campbell, who's now grown accustomed to partnering him at the top of the innings for the West Indies in Test match cricket.
Just taking that point forward, it's going to be double trouble for West Indies. One, as we're talking, they're not spending enough time on the crease. The other is the return of Jofra Archer. Now, that's our point number 2. Archer is on track for his maiden test against the West Indies. Now, remember, he's making a comeback after missing out because of an elbow injury, which he got at the Boxing Day test match in South Africa. Just taking a look at, Jofra Archer's stats. Remember, the English coach mentioned that it's going to be either Jofra Archer or you're going to take Mark Wood into the playing 11, since they have a lot of cricket coming up in the next few months. That's what they're going to do, play either or. At the moment, you take a look at those stats: 7 matches for Archer, 15 for Mark Wood. The average there of Jofra at 27, a shade better than what Mark Wood has got, but then the strike rate as well, roughly the same at 54 for Jofra Archer, and then Mark Wood at 57. Daren, I mean, at the moment seems like Jofra maybe a bit ahead of the pecking order, but how do you tell Wood to sit out when he was the man of the match the last time these two teams played?
Yeah, it's very difficult, and I don't want to be the one communicating that message to Mark Wood. What I can say is I think both players, they've grown accustomed to playing alongside each other. I think what will be uppermost in the minds of the England camp will be managing the fitness of these two bowlers. They're impact bowlers, both of them. I think Jofra Archer will get the nod. The good thing for the West Indies is most of these players, or many of these players, would have played at the youth level with Jofra Archer, so he will not be a newcomer to them. And I'm sure the West Indies would have been planning for Jofra Archer. He's a top quality bowler. If you can negate his impact in a test match, then I think you have a better chance of scoring a lot of runs against the opposition.
Right, and finally, we've kept the best point for last. That's a battle. If there was ever a battle within a larger war, it has to be that Stokes versus Holder clash, the two top all-rounders in Test cricket at the moment. And what makes it even more exciting, both will be leading their team. That after Joe Root made himself unavailable, so Ben Stokes would be leading England for the first time. Interestingly, he's never captained in any form of competitive cricket. Jason Holder's form a bit of a concern. We're just taking a look at their records. This is from Jan 2018 onwards, and take a look at that batting average of 42 for Jason Holder, 37. Not much to choose from there, but the best thing here in terms of stats is that bowling average for Jason Holder at 14.22. That's got to be the best in Test cricket at the moment. And guess what? It's not just that average. Take a look at the number of wickets as well. He's picked up 53 wickets at that average. So those are incredible figures for Jason Holder. Ben Stokes, we know, been having a great last 12 months or so for England. I mean, you can't stress enough on the fact, because I mentioned about the captaincy, that England are going to be without Joe Root, and that needs to be spoken about. I mean, that's almost like India going without Kohli or New Zealand without Kane Williamson.
Indeed, I think that's a huge void to fill. And when you look at that England batting lineup, many of the players are less than 25 years of age. So that's a dent in their experience as a collective group. Even there are question marks with Joe Denley, who bats at number 3. So if you don't have, a solid top to middle order in this series, I think you will find yourself struggling to put good totals on the board. The other thing that we must take into consideration is the fact that both teams would not have had the opportunity to play competitive cricket for about, 3 months or so because of this COVID-19 pandemic. So you ask any of the top players in world cricket to walk into an international match without having game time, they will tell you they will struggle. And that is something that I'm looking towards, to see how these two teams adjust to not having a lot of game time and having the expectation of performing. That is a huge mental challenge for you as a player. But you're right in what you're saying. This England team as a batting unit is a much weaker batting unit without Joe Root.
Let's quickly take a look at where these two teams stand at the moment in the World Test Championship standings. And for West Indies, they're still looking for their first points. They played one series against India and failed to get any points there. So they'd be looking to register those first points for themselves. But England find themselves in a very interesting position. They're at 4th at the moment, but they could leapfrog New Zealand and even Australia into 2nd spot if they were to win this Test series 3-0. That's all that we have for you at the moment. Daren, thanks so much for joining us with your thoughts. And you were watching watching Maruti Suzuki Dzire presents ESPN Cricinfo Matchday.